Oh, I clicked it. Okay. Hi, everybody. Yeah, cool. All right, here we go. Today's lecture. So, last time we finished up, like Enlightenment crap. So we finished that, and then today we're going to do neoclassical. I think we're going to do all of the neoclassical, so I think we'll finish this lecture. Depending on how much time that takes, maybe we'll even do a little, I don't even know what the next lecture is. So we'll see. Maybe it's cross-cultural connections. I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't think it is. I think we've got one more before. Oops, cross-cultural connections. I remember a good way to do this last time. Okay. There we go. So neoclassical. This is like Renaissance 2.0 in the sense that artists of the neoclassical movement are like really drawn to classical art. And sometimes it's in the form, sometimes it's in the content, sometimes it's both. One of the things about neoclassical, especially like painting, is that they were all about having like what's a good word? I need a better word than formed because I'm going to say form. I need like an adjective, well constructed form. Like very clear, very precise. Think back for a second to like Velázquez, right, with Las Meninas, that he was like in some spots like right. That's not going to fly with the neoclassical artists. Okay, they like everything to be like precise, very clean, very like planned, very thought out. One thing about them also is that like they do not want you to see brushstrokes at all. They want the painting to look like super smooth. That's like an effect they're going for. So yeah, all right, so let's get going. I love this one. Oath of the Horatii. We've done this before. I'm sorry, I can't type something that's Latin with a long I and not give it like it comes out of me. So that's just two I's. Okay. You don't have to make the second I long. And in fact, what we're seeing is the exact same thing that we saw with the House of the Vetii, that this is plural and it's a family name. So this is the Horatius family, just like we go to cactus, cacti, Horatius, Horatii. Really, it's a long I is pronounced like an E. It should be cacti. I don't think I'm ever going to get the world to change that. So anyway, let's see. Oops, that's not what I meant to click. There we go. That's not what I meant to click. That's what I wanted. Okay. We're in Rome, but the artist is French. This is David. But again, it doesn't matter if you memorize it as David, but he's French, and so it's David. Jacques-Louis David, very French. And here's the Oath of the Horatii. So before we do anything, let me tell you the myth of the Horatii, because I love it. So anyway, long ago, during the early years of the Roman monarchy. Okay, so this is when Rome still had kings. Oh, shoot, which king is it under? Don't even remember. Crap. It doesn't matter. Might be Servius Tullius, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But anyway, under one of the kings, Rome ends up, for reasons we're not going to go into, like coming to blows, about to start a war with a neighboring city, Alba Longa. And Alba Longa is this like very ancient city in Italy, and like they just got beef. It's the whole thing. But Rome and Alba Longa decide that instead of going and having like a full-blown war, they should do like single fighter combat. That like they should have, originally they're like, let's have the kings battle it out. And again, I can't remember which king it is. It doesn't matter. And both kings are like, wow. And then they're like, okay, well, you can each like pick your best warrior. And then for whatever reason, they're like, actually, like pick your best 3 warriors. And so Rome picks these 3 brothers from the Horatius family. And again, you don't need to know this specifically, but Alba Longa picks 3 brothers as well from the Curiatius family. So they're the Curiati. So yeah, and these 6 men are going to battle it out. And surprise, surprise, I'm sure you could guess Rome wins. Like, otherwise, we wouldn't be learning about Rome ever. We'd be learning about Alba Longa, which honestly we should do. It's super cool. Anyway, and it's this like very epic battle. And in the end, like it comes down to like 2 brothers, for, like 1 on each side, like the other 4 are killed. And the way the last brother wins is he just like starts running away. And so the guy starts chasing him, like the Roman guy starts running away, and the Alba Longan guy starts chasing him. And he eventually tires out the guy who's chasing him and then turns around and kills him. So anyway, they win. And so that's the story. Okay, that's the myth that comes into this painting. King Louis the 16th was the patron before he, and anyway, here it is. And then another thing is that, God, this isn't a great image. Oh, what? Too late now. Another thing is that that I didn't say before. Neoclassicism is often seen as a response to Rococo. Okay, if we think of Rococo as being like so, like I'm flashing people while I'm on the swing, and I'm like slutty, but somehow this isn't slut shamey, which like honestly, go Rococo, like celebrate it before all those people get their heads chopped off. But neoclassicism is kind of the response to that. So a lot of the time it's very serious. The colors are going to be more vibrant, but also like more muted. So yeah, just a quick note. All right, so what do we have going on here? Well, first of all, here's how big it is. It's big. I mean, those figures, they're almost life size, I would say. This thing big. And here's a cute little print of the Salon of 1785. This is kind of like an era before museums, really, or at least museums in the way that we think of them. And what they would do, especially, it starts in France and then it starts going other places, is that they would have salons. And oftentimes they were juried, which means that like there were people who you couldn't just be like, put my art in here. People would have to be like, yes or no. And when this piece was entered into the salon and people came to see it, people, and you can see, like I highlighted it here for you, here in this print of the salon it was in, people loved it so much that they had to extend the salon. It was supposed to be open, let's pretend 3 weeks, and they had to extend it to like over a month, because so many people, like, a couple people go, they're like, oh my God, it's so amazing. They tell their friends, then the friends want to go. And so eventually they have to extend the salon. It was that famous. But let's go back for, actually, no, okay, I don't know the next time I have the full image. So let's talk about what's going on here. Here are the 3 Horati, okay? The 3 brothers, and they are pledging an oath to their father, Horatius Sr. I don't have their names memorized. And he's holding their swords. First of all, why is he holding the swords by the sharp part? Actually, that part of the sword might not be that sharp. But anyway, that feels like something you shouldn't do. And the 3 sons are pledging their oath to him. Their oath to, fight to the death, fight for Rome, fight for family honor, blah, 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 blah. Now, to be clear, they are not giving a Nazi salute. Number 1, the Romans are from before the Nazis. Number 2, this painting is from before the Nazis. Okay. The Nazis took over the Roman salute. That's one of their whole like propaganda-y things that they use ancient symbols and all kinds of stuff, but we don't need to get into that. But just to be clear, okay, this isn't any kind of Nazi propaganda in itself, not at all. So this is just a Roman salute. That does not mean that any of us should ever be doing it. You can't be like, okay, like you can't like do it and then be like, well, but did you know it's actually a Roman salute? Like, it doesn't work like that. Cannot, because no. Do we need to go into it more than that? No, good. And then over here, we have the 3 wives of the Horati brothers. And they're like, oh my gosh, right? And one of them like has 2 kids and they're really sad. But, oh boy, guess what? The story gets juicier because they're like worried about their husbands. They are also worried about their brothers. No, it's not incest. These women are the sisters of the 3 brothers from Alba Longa. Juicy. As soon as I was like, they're also worried about their brothers, I was like, oh, that sounds like incest. It's not. So can you imagine knowing either your husbands or your brothers are gonna die, and in the end 2 of them lost a husband and all their brothers? Crazy. All right, bada bing bada boom. Look at this. So I don't know why we had to do like blue and red. In fact, I'm trying now to discern. Yeah, I think the blue is following just the vanishing lines from these blocks in the wall, whereas the red is following the tiles on the floor. But the blue and the red, those are the vanishing lines, right? They go to the perspective point for linear perspective. And then the green line is just the halfway mark. I think they don't do the other halfway mark because I think it's a little off. Actually, doesn't it seem like it would be about here and not here? David, you can just shift him over a little bit. But anyway, the idea here is that all of these things like really bring your focus and attention to the swords, right? To where they're swearing the oath. here are the brother. And then, the other thing I want to point out, so like, let's talk about what makes this neoclassical. So number one, it's got classical themes, right? It's a freaking Roman story, right? You've got a Roman setting, you've got lovely arches, these nice Tuscan columns, great. Again, this isn't the best image that I've found. In fact, it's quite terrible. I don't know. Who cares? I think I have like one good close-up coming. That's pretty decent. But you really cannot see brushstrokes. It really is quite amazing. That's difficult to do. Yeah. Okay. There are the ladies, so sad. Again, the technique, real nice. I don't know what that sound was. That's just good technique sound. That drapery, beautiful. Just everything's beautiful. Oh, those poor ladies. To be clear, what you kind of see here, these are not brush strokes. These are cracks. Just happens to oil paintings. They all crack. It's a bummer. And there we have it. And I don't have anything else to say about this. So let's look at some other Davids. Death of Socrates, right? So Socrates, Athenian philosopher who gets sentenced to death. They use a euphemism, they say, for corrupting the youth. It's for having sexual relationships with young men longer than he should. But they say just corrupting the youth. And they're like, it's your politics. And then he like drinks hemlock to like avoid to choose his death or whatever. Okay, great. Lictors bring to Brutus the bodies of his son. This is not the Brutus of Julius Caesar. It is that Brutus's ancestor. This Brutus is the one who gets rid of the last king of Rome, Tarquinius Superbus. In fact, in case you find this stuff interesting, otherwise zone out for a minute, the Brutus of Julius Caesar, right, his friend who helps, or who betrays him, and conspires with the Senate, he's a descendant of this Brutus. And when the senators who are planning the assassination to convince Brutus, they're like, this is in your blood. You have to get rid of tyrants. And he's like, oh my God, you're right. Okay, I'll help you kill my friend. Boo, Brutus. Anyway. The intervention of the Sabine women, again, another just amazing myth from ancient Rome. Oh God. Basically, Rome, when they found it, like when it's founded, they're like, we don't have any people. And so they like send word to neighboring towns and they're like, hey, are you a criminal? Are you not wanted in your town? Come to our town. We don't care. Which meant that they got a bunch of dudes. And so Rome was like all men and they were all criminals. And they were like, how are we going to get women? And in true criminal fashion, they were like, we'll steal them. If you've ever seen the movie or the play, but the movie is like so bad, but so good. 7 Wives for 7 Brothers. It's like they talk about the Sabine women, but it's also like a retelling of it. It's really funny. Anyway, yeah, so they invite the Sabines to a feast. It's like some neighboring people. And then in the middle of the feast, they like try to kill all the men and steal the women. And then the Sabines who like didn't come, they show up later and they're like, we're gonna have a war to get our women back. And in the middle of it, the women come out and they're like, stop. We can't have more of you die. And like, it's not so bad. And that's how Rome got women. So good. But also, seriously, if you ever have the chance to watch it's like from the 70s, maybe the 60s. I don't know. The musical Seven Wives for Seven Brothers. It's so good in the worst way possible. I'm gonna watch that tonight. The Death of Marat. This is that guy from the French Revolution, and David was friends with him, I guess. This is the guy who, like, I don't know the story. I don't understand the story, but he was a big figure in the revolution, and then he died in the bathtub. Like a lady came and stabbed him or something. Like he was really sick, so he was always in the bathtub. Whatever. And then this one you probably have maybe seen. I don't know. Oh, am I going to show you the Kehinde Wiley next? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I throw that in, but this is a very famous Napoleon painting. I do. For some reason, I then like to show you the Kehinde Wiley because he should be in the 250. He's not. I think he's going to be in the next iteration, but who knows? But anyway, so beautiful. Monticello. Oh, all right, everybody, get ready for me to slander the founding fathers. Hope you've been getting excited for it because I do not hold back. Thomas Jefferson was a piece of shit. Let's just start off strong. All right. So here's where Charlottesville, Virginia is. Famous for Monticello and white dudes with tiki torches. And I think also maybe like I don't know. Anyway, here's Monticello. Thomas Jefferson himself designed it. Thomas Jefferson, human pile of garbage. And it was his little home that he enjoyed. I just want to make sure I'm not like missing any of my notes. Good. So yeah, Monticello, it means like little mountain, like little hill, little mountain, little mount. Yeah, he'd had another home here, and then remember in Hamilton, the musical, remember how he's not there for the first act, but he comes back, he comes in the second, and he's like, I was in France. So when he comes back is when he like starts planning this. Or when he comes back is when he changes the house, and I'll show you, he actually based it off of a hotel that was in Paris that he totally loved. So yeah, there's that image. There is a layout. I don't think the layout has the words, but for some reason that's the one I have. So it's a little house. There it is. Really adorable. Okay, so here's the hotel he based it off of. Here's another view of it, and you can see. I'm just gonna like kind of flip back and forth because we don't have the, we're not at school, so I don't have the two projectors. But it's got this sort of like central area with a dome. There it is, central area with a dome. Columns in the front. Oops. And then like kind of rectangly bits going off to the side. So he like loved this hotel and was like, I'm gonna design my house to look like that hotel, which is so weird in my opinion, but whatever. What makes this neoclassical? Well, look at it. Right, we've got these nice Tuscan order columns. We've got triglyphs. We don't exactly have metopes because there's nothing in there. Although I think we still call this triglyphs and metopes. We've got a nice pediment up here with nothing in it, but that's okay. And this is kind of the key to neoclassical architecture. You're never going to look at something that's neoclassical and get confused and be like, shit, is it Greek or is it Roman? They're going to throw in enough weirdness that you're not confused. For instance, okay, hey, look, remember that? Okay, so you can look at those and compare. Oh, I have to post this lecture. Okay, there it is. Great. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, the fact that it's mostly brick, a Greek temple isn't going to look like that. So yeah. It's on the back of the nickel. Because we just love Thomas Jefferson. All right, here's some shots of the outside. Oh, I meant to see. Okay, let's talk. Anytime I straighten my hair or curl it like this, I can't stop touching it. That's not what we need to talk about. Let's talk about what's her name? Sally Hemings. So Thomas Jefferson was gross, and he had this wife. I think her name was Martha, because I swear his wife has the same name as George Washington's wife. It doesn't matter. Her name is Martha or Mary or Jane or Abigail or something, some early American name. And she, when she married Thomas Jefferson, she brought with her a slave. Okay, Sally Hemings. This slave was actually her half sister, okay, because her father raped one of their slaves, and that slave had a daughter, Sally. Okay, so she comes with her half sister slave to the marriage, and then Thomas Jefferson ends up raping Sally Hemings, and she has multiple children. So some of Thomas Jefferson's descendants are Black, like to this day. I should have, number one, put their pictures in. That would have been interesting. Maybe I did. No, I don't think I did. But they recently, within the last, I want to say only like 5 years, they found at Monticello the like cellar, the like basement where she lived, where Sally Hemings lived. Now, whatever. Certain people, not certain people. There are people who will tell you that Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson had a relationship. That's not a thing. Because I don't know if you know this, but you can't have a relationship with a person who is considered your property. That like instantly nullifies consent. So that's one thing. The other thing is people will be like, no, she was treated so well. That's not a thing. Number one, she was forced to live in a basement cellar. Number two, she was raped all the time. Number three, she was a slave. And there are even people, like, I think if you go, I've never been to Monticello. We went when I was really little. We went to George Washington's house. I don't know why. I don't really remember it. But like if you go there, I think on the tour they'll be like, oh, and like Sally Hemings lived in the house, and like that's not true. Like we know now she lived in the basement cellar. And I don't know, like people just love to be Thomas Jefferson apologists. I mean, there are, I don't care, I'll say it, there are people in the humanities hallway who are Thomas Jefferson apologists. No, it's not Miss Molina. No, I won't tell you who it is. But he was a piece of human trash. And I don't care if he invented the swivel chair. I'd rather live my life without swivel chairs and have him not had existed. I don't know. He's gross. Anyway, yeah. I don't know if they've actually published the images of that cellar because it's still, I mean, you know, even if it's within 5 years, that is still going to be an active archaeological site. And it's probably, I would guess, pretty contentious since like the Monticello people aren't going to really want to talk about it. It's sort of like if you go to Southern plantations, like lots of people get married at Southern plantations, they'll be like, oh yeah, this slave owner was so good to their slave. It's never true. It's never true. That's an oxymoron. You can't be good to someone you owned. Not a thing. Not a thing. You also hear of like slave owners who like freed their slaves. Not a thing. You like legally weren't allowed to do that unless the slave like saved a white person's life. That was like the only time you could do that. I think we've even talked about this because I only learned that like last summer because the American education system. So that's why I'm passing it on to you. America's trash. Maybe you've been watching the Supreme Court nominee. Oh boy. America was trash. America is trash. And frankly, I don't think that's unpatriotic. I live here. There are parts of America I think are good, but there are parts that aren't good. And if you ignore those parts, I think that's what's unpatriotic. So, okay, I'm going to calm down now. Also, you know that myth, well, maybe you don't know it's a myth. You know that story of not Thomas Jefferson, of George Washington having wooden teeth? That's fake. He had teeth from slaves made into dentures. Trash. Anyway, let's keep talking about it. Indian Nights. Here's the East Portico. Ooh, my foot hurts. That's nice. All right, here's the inside. I will admit that floor is interesting. I kind of like it. There are still elements of neoclassicalism in here. You got these cute little dentals up here. You got some nice busts lying around. I'm just going to show you rooms now. Okay, here's the South Square room. What a great name for a room. I would never want to sit in this chair. It like looks cool, but you know that's actually really uncomfortable. You can't like, no, terrible. The parlor. I do like this room. That yellow is very nice. The dining room. The tea room. Okay, I will admit, this is pretty cool. So this is the dome. I would put so many plants in here. This one's cool. This one's cool. It's got a nice oculus. Very Roman. All right. As though Thomas Jefferson wasn't enough of a human piece of garbage. I can't get over how stupid this is, okay? So this is Thomas Jefferson's bedroom, okay? And you can see through this doorway and through this random hole in the wall, that's his office, okay? And Jefferson was like, I want my bed to be in a little weird hole between the bedroom and my office so that in the morning when I wake up, I can just roll out of bed into the office and get right to work. Kim Kardashian would have loved him because all he did was work. Because it would be too much to like get out of bed this way and walk through the... My question has always been like, okay, so the idea is like, I guess you get in bed on the bedroom side, but what about his wife? Does he like get in bed and then roll straight over to the other side and then she sleeps on this side? I don't know. Anyway, so there's the bed and here's his weird office. Just what a weirdo. Okay, he also designed a lot of the University of Virginia. I mean, come on, that is just like a pantheon right there. And then you've got these very Roman style buildings or buildings that look like very much like Roman temples, right? Because if you remember, Roman temples will have a front porch, but rarely a back porch. But then it has this weird like portico thing here. So here's, I think, that Pantheon like building. Okay, now Thomas Jefferson did not design the US Capitol, but this is a very good example of neoclassicism. What it really ends up being is like 1 temple, 2 temple, 3 temple, all connected with like a really awful looking dome. Frankly, it doesn't look like a dome. I mean, the top is dome-ish, but it's too tall. I don't like it. The Lincoln Memorial, neoclassical. George Washington. All right, I'm gonna pause. I need to take a potty break, but I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Let's pick a secret word. In honor of Thomas Jefferson, let's do trash. Trash. So that's the third secret word of the week. All right. Let's move on to George Washington. This was made in Paris. Okay. So this is Houdon, very famous artist. He's got some stuff at LACMA. I think I showed them to you at the end. If you watched the HBO miniseries on John Adams, he's in there. He's the guy who's doing the bust of, what's that guy's name? Benjamin Franklin. I was like, he wasn't a president, but we love him, but he was trash. Anyway, so George Washington. Why was he made by a French dude? Well, because at this time in like the late 1700s, early 1800s in America, they were like, nobody here in America is a good artist. And they're like, we gotta go somewhere else if we want good art, which I kind of love. So anyway, hold on, let me pull up the notes on this because I never remember that governor's name. Benjamin Harrison V. So Benjamin Harrison V was the governor of Virginia, and he wanted to make this. Do I have him listed as the patron? Yeah, look at that. And he went to no, it's not to George Washington. He went to Thomas Jefferson and was like, that's why he's also listed here. And George Washington consulted, I would say. And he was like, hey, who should I go to in Paris to get this done? And Thomas Jefferson was like, oh, go to Houdon. He's really great. It took 4 years to make, but for some reason he like kept it another 6 years and then delivered it. So yeah, I don't know. What else do I want to say about that? That's it. It lives in the rotunda of the Virginia State Capitol. Okay. So here it is. Old Georgie trash bag. Let's pick out what's neoclassical. Number 1, marble sculpture in the round. Bada bing, bada boom. Number 2, contrapposto. Number 3, this thing, which we'll talk about at the end. We're going to leave it till last. It's not a column. We're going to leave it till the end. Okay. Now, what makes it neoclassical, not classical? Well, number 1, it was not made in ancient Rome or Greece. But number 2, George Washington is wearing modern, for them, clothing, right? And he insisted on that, George Washington, when they consulted with him. They're like, we want to make this statue of you. And he was like, I swear to fucking God, if you make me look like an ancient Roman, I'll throw up. And they were like, okay, point taken. And at the end, I will show you a sculpture of George Washington where they make him look like a Greek god, and it's hilarious. And like George Washington, I'll give him credit for that. He knew not to depict himself as an ancient Greek or Roman. It's like the one good thing he did. There he is, looking all nice. right? Very presidential. All right, this thing is a cannon, believe it or not. It's not the kind of cannon we usually think of where it like has wheels and it's like boom. But this is like some kind of like rockety launcher, cannony. Not a rocket launcher. I don't know. It's a small cannon. He it has this walking stick, right? Walking sticks. I just learned this last year. It's not that he's like old or something, right? And he's like, oh, I need a cane. No, it's the use of walking sticks like this was actually a callback to when, you know, this is going to be a time people aren't just wearing swords all the time, right? Unless there's actively a war. But having a walking stick like this was a callback to that era, like visually, because it's kind of like a sword, right? And we could get into like phallic symbols and all the toxic masculinity, but like whatever. But that's why so many of these dudes had stupid old walking sticks. It'd be cooler if it had like a wizard carved into the top of it, but I think that's like a kind of a modern phenomenon. So yeah, but anyway, you can actually see sort of, hopefully, his hand is actually gloved. I mean, Houdon, amazing sculptor. See, Bernini level? No, nobody is. But real good. Love the little glove detail. Here's a view from the top. I don't think I have anything else really to say about this. Maybe are we going to talk about this now? Yeah. So that thing is called the fasces. And here is an ancient, I think this is actually from Trajan's column. But anyway, this is a fasces. It's an ancient Roman thing. Even to the ancient Romans, it was an ancient thing, okay? And it's a bundle of sticks. This is a small one that has an axe head on it, okay? And so to the Romans, it was an ancient weapon, but they didn't use it as a weapon. They used it as a symbol, okay? When a senator was walking around town, he had like, we're just going to go with he had bodyguards because that's the easiest way to understand this, okay? But you got to remember, this is ancient Rome. There's no Twitter, there's no Instagram, there's no TikTok. So like, you didn't necessarily know someone was a senator. And they only wear special togas some of the time, not all of the time. So you can't always tell that someone's a senator. And so they have these bodyguards with them, and the bodyguards carry the fasces. Okay. And so it's symbolic because, like, if someone tries to attack the senator, you can, but like nobody does that. And so it just, in the end, really became a symbol of political power. Okay. To the point where the Lincoln Memorial has them on the chair. Bet you didn't know that. Also, this is how they clean the Lincoln Memorial. Also, I hate this image because no matter what you do, it looks like Lincoln is looking at you, and I don't like it. But anyway, I don't want that job. Oh, different times. But anyway, hey, look at this. What is this? Is this the House? Where do you give the State of the Union? I don't know. I never watch it. I don't care. It's just propaganda. Anyway, fasces. All right. So here's some other Houdon stuff. This one's at LACMA. Voltaire. Nice. Oh, this is not Voltaire. This is also George Washington. It's been like 3 years that I have forgotten that I just copied and pasted the text and didn't change it to say George Washington. So this is not Voltaire. All right. This guy, I don't know who the fuck this is, but that's a nice little bust. The Marquis de, I don't know. So anyway, all right. And then again, this is a different artist way later in time. So George Washington was way dead. But like, yeah, George Washington was right to not want to be depicted like that. I mean, like, if any, I mean, the abs and the pec, too much. It's so bad. It's so bad. All right, our last piece. Oh yeah, perfect. We're at 44 minutes. Okay. Le Grand Odalisque, made in Paris. There's Paris. Here she is. Oh boy, this artist. Okay. There are like 20 gazillion, you'll hear 20 gazillion different ways to pronounce this artist's last name. I think, I don't know. So I think it's like Ingle. Who knows? This is actually a name that shows up in lots of different languages, especially like Romance languages. Like there was a baseball player, or maybe he still is a baseball player, I don't know, but he was on the Detroit Tigers, and like the most common form of this is actually Dutch, and it's Inge, but they got, like, I guess his family, and then like anytime they announced it at a Tigers game, they were like Inge, and it was just so weird. Anyway, here she is. There's going to be a lot to unpack here. Now, first of all, this is another one of those gateway drug pieces. This is, oh my God, what's the next? Hold on, I got to look at what our next lecture is, because it's a gateway to what? My brain can't remember. Was it a gateway to realism? I don't think that's right. Let's look. No, it's a gateway to romanticism. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, realism's in the next unit, so maybe I should calm down. All right, this is part neoclassical, and honestly, like I every time I'm like, really, we want this in neoclassical, because like, what about it is actually neoclassical? And in the end, the only thing is really the formal qualities, the like lack of paintbrush strokes, brush strokes, lack of brush strokes. But for whatever reason, we don't want to put her yet. And by we, I mean like the art history community, I guess, like they don't want to put her into romanticism yet. Whatever, fine. But she's barely neoclassical. Okay. I love this piece. I love to teach this piece. There we go. I don't love this piece. So Inge made this for the sister of Napoleon, who I think was the Queen of Naples. But anyway, here it is. Okay, take a good look at her. Drink it in. Actually, go ahead and pause for as long as you want to look at her, but I'm going to keep going. Okay, number one. Why is her boob in her armpit? Like, serious question. Number two, where is this leg attaching to her body? Also, how is it doing that? It's like over every year I've like gotten a kid to like come up to the front of the room, lie down on the floor, and try to do this. So if any of you in class like want to give this a go ahead and freak out the sub. Just be like, hang on, we gotta do some experimenting here. Just keep your clothes on if you do it. Also, like, where does / should her butt start? Because it starts like way down here, but like based on the rest of her body, it should really start like up here. So yeah. Also, I don't think your neck can go that far. So she's a mess. And this is telling, okay? It's not that the artist is like a bad artist. It's that, frankly, at this time, and we kind of saw the same thing happening with what's her face? The Venus of Urbino, right? She was like a little disproportionate. And essentially what's going on is like, who really cares about a woman as a whole? We care about a woman like as parts. And so they're not going to put necessarily a lot of effort into accurately portraying. I mean, like, I can't get over that boob. It is really in her armpit. Anyway, so yeah. Now, here's the other thing we should be thinking about. This is a take on the reclining nude, right? She's just kind of backwards for us. But obviously, like, she's still nude. So we talked before with Titian that he was able to get away with having this nude figure because eventually she's given the name Venus, right? And that was the only way you could get away with having a nude figure. Well, it's not the only way. The other way is that you make the figure foreign. You make her foreign. So Titian, uses myth, uses Venus, and Inge is going to use like distance. He's going to use foreignness, okay? Because there's a lot going on in this image that looks kind of foreign, right? This is not a typically European style of like curtain. It's got these kind of peacocky, kind of, I don't know, almost paisley on whatever, but like it's not very European. It's more like Near Eastern. Also this feather duster, very exotic. Also, what is this thing? Do I show you a close-up right now? What is this thing? It's a hookah. Not European. At this time, could be used for smoking tobacco, could be used for weed, but they like call it hash or whatever, or like hashish. Could be used for opium. And opium, oh crap. Before or after the Opium Wars? I don't know. Well, let's not get into the Opium Wars then. But anyway, needless to say, regardless of if this is before or after the Opium Wars, opium is very looked down upon. Opium is the crack cocaine of the 17 and 1800s. If you don't know about this, in the 80s, in the Reagan era, they criminalized crack cocaine more than regular cocaine, like to an egregious extent, because guess which demographic of people used crack cocaine more than powdered cocaine? Black people. So they criminalized it more. Opium, depending on if you injected it or smoked it, would be criminalized differently because foreigners would smoke it. So anyway, she also has this like head wrap, scarf wrap thing going on. Very foreign. European women don't do this. There's her little whatever. Here's her messed up body. I can't get over what's happening with her butt. So this whole thing is seen as very foreign. However, the actual woman is very European looking. Okay. Because I almost said this is a time of racism. All times are times of racism. But this is an issue of racism, that you can make a nude woman be foreign, but if she actually looks foreign, then nobody wants it. Nobody wants that. The idea here is that this is sort of Near Eastern, right? And Near Eastern / Middle Eastern, and especially kind of Turkish. Hang on, do I have this? Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't making this up. So part of what's going on here is this is seen as like very Turkish, very, Ottoman. And this is when Europe had these ideas about harems, which like were not true. The idea of a harem was that like a sultan or something would have a harem, and it would be like a harem is like all these women who are essentially like sex slaves or concubines. And so the idea here is that like this must be a woman like from a harem. And not only is that like very foreign, the idea, but that idea is also very, to the Europeans, Islamic. So not only are they just racist, they're also Islamophobic. And so the audience for this isn't going to want to see an Islamic, brown-skinned woman. They're going to want to see someone who looks like, the lady down the street. Porcelain skin, European features. And that's what they get here. So here's some other of his stuff. I mean, and here's why we make her neoclassical, because his other stuff is neoclassical, but she's not all that neoclassical. So what is this? Oh, yeah, this is from the Iliad. Here's this one. I will admit I do like this painting. There are lots of like logical reasons why I shouldn't, but I do. I actually think it's really beautiful. And we did the lecture. How long did that take? Just about an hour. Okay, good. Yeah, sweet. So this will be the lecture for Friday. Good. Oh, cool. And then I just will work on the weekend. Okay. Cool beans. Yeah. Okay. Bye, guys.